Let's see what we can do with this. Alrighty, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 291, our superheroes whiny little brats. Now, this video came out 6 years ago by Channel Awesome. If you don't know Channel Awesome, we've covered them a few times already. They have good videos, they have bad videos. They are the more tolerable of most of the other consistent YouTubers we've seen before. Sometimes they have bad takes, horrible takes, and sometimes their takes are just, okay. They're just fine. And this one seems to be a little mix of both. I don't know. It is a 323,000 view video. It has 5.2K upvotes and 122 downvotes. So it seems like a safe bet. And I watched a few minutes. I didn't see anything wrong with it yet. But it is a 10-minute and 40-second video. I don't know how strange it'll turn out, but hopefully it won't be too cringy. Doug Walker is not that bad when he has normal review videos, so maybe
when he has to review a topic itself, he seems to be more focused on itself. His usual reviews of shows or movies are just horrendous because of those skits, but he seems to be using much less here.
Whenever he does skits, it's always a give or take.
I just run away. I just turn off everything. I just scream please let me out. But nobody answers me.
Well, isn't the reason for the skits the whole copyright disaster from where's the fair use and all that?
Well, supposedly that's the reason, but I don't believe him. He's just purposely torturing his audience because he wants to be accepted.
His decision to keep them going. Well, his choice to keep them going, we can question. But if it comes from the fair use disaster that happened years ago, it's I can kind of understand.
But the other thing is that he began to review new media, and he of course he has no footage for that unless you count the trailers. But he just can't replay the same fucking thing all the time. So he's just gonna be more creative about it. But the choice that he made is just no comment on it. We could go into that discussion some other time.
All right. Well, he has an acquired taste for sure, but I do like his normal review videos. He seems reasonable, and he's not the sharpest reviewer, but he's honest, and I like that take on a reviewer. Same with Angry Joe. He's not the sharpest reviewer, but he has an honest take on things, and he does his best to explain himself.
Just don't let him talk about politics, and we're gonna be fine.
Oddly enough, his skits are actually not bad. Angry Joe, I don't mind them.
Angry Joe's, yeah, much more of an upgrade compared to Doug.
And yeah, they did work together once or twice, I think. Angry Joe and Doug Walker.
Many times until the disaster that happened.
The disaster. So
9/11.
Anyway, let's get going. Here's Mike Testa. Hey, Michael, how you doing? My grandfather just recently passed. F's in chat, please. Okay, well, that's sorry to hear there, Mike. You take it easy, buddy.
Sorry to hear that.
And
sorry to hear that.
You do your best, man. I will say, Mike, you are a trooper. You kept sending super chats after the stream was done, which is weird. I appreciate that. That's really amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll read them because I don't know what they mean, and I'm confused, but thank you anyway. You guys forgot to put Quentin on that cave paint. That was from the Punished Bearserker memes, I believe. I think there was only so many heads. The next one you gave was blank. I don't know what you meant to do there, but thank you anyway. And the next one after that, it says, put y'all back in chains, back in chains, back. Is that a song? Because I'm hoping that's a song.
Must be a reference to Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains? Could be. I don't know. The ways of Michael are vast and confusing.
A very acquired taste.
It is a very odd understanding of how the way the mind of Michael works, and we can only do our best to listen and understand him. But hey, thanks for the attention. I appreciate all the super chats and the crazy ideas you gave us. It's always entertaining. Okay, let's get going. This is a almost 11-minute video. Shouldn't be too bad. And the volume, I'm going to bring down a notch because he always cranks it up so high. All right.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy. Remembered so you don't have to. Well, people seem to have very strong feelings about Man of Steel. Audiences enjoy defending it, critics enjoy obliterating it. Trust me, I'll have my own words to say when it finally comes to DVD. But there is one criticism that seems to carry over for many people, and that is that Superman does too much moping. The funny thing is, out of all the problems with this film, I find this one didn't really bother me so much. I mean, I don't think it was done well, but people argue that Superman should not be a character who questions his purpose or his identity.
Okay, so I actually don't mind the story of Clark Kent trying to figure stuff out. I think that's pretty normal.
Especially in his introductory movie.
Oh, yeah.
That was supposed to be like the bootstrap for his franchise.
The inner conflict of Clark Kent or Kal-El is kind of key to his character. The problem is it wasn't that was the issue. The issue became the dad, the Jonathan Kent character, and the mom not being these moral, righteous guys saying, hey, Clark, you got to take responsibility because you have all these abilities. And yes, aliens are among us. It's very strange. Oh my God, what does it mean to be a Catholic in today's society? Yeah, that's interesting. But school bus, kids, help them.
Let them die.
Help them, please. You have the ability. Help them. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not going to hurt you. You're super powerful and fast. They'll barely know what happened. You have to learn to be discreet. That's it. That they should have taught Clark how to be discreet. That's it. Wear a mask, wear black. I don't care. Whatever it takes to hide your identity, if that's the problem. So, fortunately, we never that would have been the lot. If this was a mature, intelligent story, and Zach wanted to tell a modern day sort of thing, where adults are intelligent, and what would happen if we had an amazing kid who can do almost anything? Well, you have to hide him. You'd be smart about it. Like if Martha Kent actually started, sewing up his suit, he would say, okay, I'm going to put a hood on there and put a built-in mask so you could just pull it over your face. We're going to put gloves on so they can't see fingerprints, like all these basic things you would think of as someone to hide yourself as you did super amazing, powerful things. So in Smallville, he was so fast, they call it the red, blue blur. Because Clark just moved so quickly, and he didn't have to worry about wearing a hoodie or anything. He was just so quick. He never stopped. He just, boom, stopped the car, catch the baby, and then off he went, and no one knew it. So that was what happened. They could have done that in Man of Steel. That would have made some basic sense.
That's a good point.
Wasn't he essentially really fast in that Snyder universe as well?
Yes.
Well, yes. He was not aware of those powers at that point. Because I can't remember. I just deleted this movie from my mind.
It was never really... I mean, he was just as fast as the Flash in that regard. He could sense him. But they never really addressed it very well. They never really said, oh, well, he could do things very quickly, but he slows down when he fights Zod. He slows down whenever he fights really powerful dudes because he relies on his strength more, I imagine, in the Snyder Cut. Which makes sense. That's fine. But it's the same problem with the Flash. The Flash can do anything before anyone can blink. And why doesn't he? So you have to provide a reason. You have to provide some excuse why he doesn't do that.
Well, the Flash just has the Speed Force.
Right. And he doesn't. Maybe he's not aware of it. Maybe he's not as intelligent. He's not as mature. He's not as brave. There's lots of reasons to depower these heroes to make them more believable, to make them more likable. To go, oh, Superman can't just fly up there. He's not a fly yet. He hasn't learned. Or he'd only run up walls, and he doesn't want to break the walls. And he's like, oh, my God, what do I do? He's thinking. We have to have the thinking superhero, not just a guy who brawls and punches people through buildings. That's stupid. If you're telling an origin story, at least. Obviously, if Superman has been established, he'll be more mature. He could fly and hover and do all kinds of magical things, which is great.
Unfortunately, DC is no stranger to stupid decisions.
Well, we gotta blame the writer in some regards, so that's kind of what happened in the script. I'm sure Zach would have had some issues here and there, but for the most part, I went through. So,
and yet in Winter Soldier, one of the two directors did not give a shit about Captain America, and yet he still made it work.
Yeah. It's a standard of writing that we've noticed from DC and Marvel.
Okay, but like, if we go with that point, Zach claims to be like a fan, and he seems to. He even claimed to be like he understands Superman, but like every fucking decision he made in this franchise, like it's just like saying otherwise.
Hence why it's contrasted by one of the directors of Winter Soldier onwards, like at fully admitting he was no fan of Cap before he decided to reinvent the wheel with him.
Yeah.
You could say an average fan could be a fan of a thing without understanding the character or without understanding the comic. And
that's true.
If he looks at Frank Miller's comics and he goes, wow, these frames are great, I'm going to use those. And he did. He literally just stole frames from Frank Miller's and just threw it in there. And they look great. There's a lot of great scenes. I will say the best scene out of all of this was the start of Batman v Superman, the death of Martha Kent and Jonathan Kent. Not Jonathan Kent. What's his name? Thomas Kent.
Thomas Wayne.
Thomas Wayne.
Thomas Wayne.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
Thomas and Martha Wayne. Yes.
Like, Jonathan Wayne.
That is the best looking death of those two people. So he has a very good, and I don't know why he used the pearls, but he just liked it and he ran with it. And the pearls are just the best looking style of the death of these two characters I've ever seen. So everything was looking great and feeling reasonably well first 10, 15 minutes of that movie. And then it just, I don't know. He just forgot what to do next visually.
Yeah, it seems to have an edge on stylistic choices. Like he seems to be on top of those.
If he was a consultant, like the same way Christopher Nolan was a consultant, I think that would have worked well. Because then he'd say, oh, we should do something like this and give the actual director some inspiration or some guidance. But
then again, Nolanverse has its own flaws too.
Oh
no!
I'm not even addressing Christopher Nolan's choices to tell a modern day superhero story. I just think that using Frank Miller as a base can work very well, as we've seen in the animated versions of Batman Year One. Those were great, but not just the visuals.
Just one thing that to add to like what Smut said. Like you guys said about like Winter Soldier guy hating the source material itself. I think like Chris Avellone is like a good example as well. Like when he got the job to like make the sequel to Knights of the Old Republic, like he said like it was like fucking cringe for him to even work with Star Wars because like he hates the universe.
Yeah.
And he found it like full of problems and contradictions. So like that's how he worked around it. I feel like when you are forced to like work with something that you just don't like, you will like find like ways to like make it like a very interesting product to like resell, even if like you have to like mind in like the people who don't like this franchise and just like sell it because like it's just give like a different perspective, but also like understanding like the fundamentals of how it actually works. So
he just doubled down on his dislike of the franchise and used that for the game?
Yeah, like basically like there's a character called Kreia, and like what she does is like every single time she's gonna like question like why did you do this? Like even if like it's a good or bad choice, like light or dark side choices like in the game, but like she's gonna like question like why did you make this choice no matter what, and that's like throughout the entire game, like because like it's like a very gray area. But in the end, like there are like some choices that you can make to like make sense out of it and like figure out like what her intentions were. But it's a very interesting way of like telling a story.
So basically, through her, like the game tries to get more context out of why you chose the specific thing.
Yes.
I do remember the interview Chris did in regards to the job he did on Knights of the Old Republic 2, when he was playing the first game, he actually had that drop his controller moment when they revealed...
Manan on the water level.
Sorry?
It's like he couldn't figure out like how the fuck can they top that one.
Well, it was the reveal of Revan, really. That was the big deal to him.
That was yeah.
So he was like, wow, they actually did it. And for whatever KOTOR was to lots of people, that was a big moment for a lot of fans as well. So to him, it was something he was really inspired to work with. It was the actual franchise he didn't like because the lore was filled with holes and there's lots of stupid philosophies he didn't like. The same that the average fan who pays attention to George Lucas goes, George, you're not the most intelligent guy. There's lots of problems with the Force and the Sith and the Jedi. It does not add up in a lot of ways. So that's the problems that Chris Avellone had. He says, let's just sort of look at these things and address them because he thought that'd be interesting. And he had to do different things with characters. Like, there's so many characters in KOTOR 2 that you get. And the most interesting to me is Visas Mar, because she is Sith. She's openly Sith, but she also is devoting her life to this dude or this girl because she feels something in him she's never felt before. And it's just this weird connection. It doesn't make any sense because she wants to kill you and then she can't and then she gives herself to you. And he's like, well, we can't see her eyes, so we have to make her attractive. So we focused on the voice and the lips and everything else is like just shrouded in mystery. Like, okay. So, yeah, but great villains, great stories, great plots, a lot of weird characters, but not bizarrely stupid weird. Like there was no real joke character as far as I can think of. There was no mascot character.
Atom was going for like a very comedic one, but like when you find out like what's his backstory, it's like, oh god, please no.
Well, I do like they addressed the fact that there was a character who actively killed Jedi. It's like, whoa.
Yes.
Really?
And the fact that how you encounter him, like that's like so magical.
I'm trying to remember that floating ball. What the hell was that called? Goto, yeah.
The gangster robot, right?
Yeah, he pretty much sent you his battle droid or whatever flying sphere. And
yes.
Just like, I'm going to monitor you and watch out for business opportunities. You're like, what the hell is this? So there were lots of great stories. We had the old Mandalore on our team. There was
Canderous. Yeah, was very interesting.
Yeah, the Handmaiden was there. She had her own mystery. That was like all characters have this connection to the past and the villains you're dealing with. Bao Dur was like this weird sort of general guy who thought of you as this war hero or whatever. Lots of great characters that just work with the plot, and that he connected them all very well. HK-47 was the blast. Just so much fun. So everything was entertaining and intelligent. That's what I liked about that story. Anyway, here's Mike Testa. Let's keep going with Mike. It was Joe Biden saying, "Our y'all back in chains." Oh, okay, the meme. All right, I gotcha. That makes more sense. God damn it! And on a Doug Walker video, I tell this. Yeah, I know. What do you got? What do you got to do, man? It's just how it goes. And one more from Mike Testa. Doug is an untalented hack. You know what? He makes it up for in gumption, though. He really pushes himself to try and be funny, and try to entertain, even though it doesn't always work. But that's fine.
Yeah. Just want to say real quick, I'm glad I wasn't around for most of the KOTOR talk because I'm actually playing it right now.
Oh, really?
Finally.
All right.
There's some games that I think anyone who knows me or has been on Smudboy or Smudcast, it's like there's this list of games everyone should play, and KOTOR and KOTOR 2 are one of them or two of them. So.
And Vampire the Masquerade, which I haven't played either.
Well, that is yeah, I think.
But I'm keeping my eye on it for the next time there's a sale, so you can't complain necessarily. I'm keeping my eye on it.
The reason why I keep bringing it up, aside from Setter, who just keeps annoying me, is that the new game is supposed to come out this year. Was supposed to, and it was like, if you're gonna get it, you may as well play the first before you jump in. and just to see how much has changed. But it keeps getting pushed back.
Remind me, which one was it? Bloodlines, right?
Yes. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I know it's a stupid title, but it's fine.
No, it's like I've seen worse titles.
Yeah, I know.
But you're actually looking forward to the sequel, Smud.
I am, because it looks like such a shit show, and I don't know whether it's going to be fun to play, because the gameplay we saw looked fine. You're climbing up walls and using all your abilities, but the development has been a horror story.
So, yeah. Like, how many people are still working on it? Because I have seen like so many of staff members have been changed.
Well, we haven't heard much news for the past few months, but we know the original two guys who made the first game got fired for no reason. They don't even know. And that was back in 2020 when it's like everyone was working from home. So like, it wasn't that big a deal if you're working from home. Maybe you got lazy. Maybe things weren't being as efficient as possible, but usually that doesn't slow down game development because you have your rigs at home, you have your laptops, whatever. The developers and programmers are fine. Maybe the CGI guys might not have the best resources because they use office computers, but that wouldn't slow them down. They'd go, hey, I need a business expense. I'll just unplug the cables here and bring it home, or I'll buy a new one and charge the company card. Whatever. Like, it's not going to stop you. Everything's online nowadays anyway. So this would not be a problem, at least in my mind. You just have weird teleconferences a lot, but other than that, it wouldn't slow stuff down. So I don't know what happened with that company. They're still publishing games though. They just announced Victoria 3, I think. If anyone knows the Victoria series, it's basically one of those 4X games. Or like those 4X games, but for medieval Europe. So people like, was it Paradox Interactive? I think that's what they're called. I can't recall. Anyway, starts with P. Who knows? I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, but I bet that there's going to be some cringy moments in there. Anyway, on with the video.
He should be saying fun. It then started to hit me that this wasn't the first time I heard this argument. I remember when Spider-Man came out, it had very similar criticisms. Too much angst, too much drama, too much Uncle Ben! And as I started to go through the reviews and critiques of a lot of comic book movies, I found that even the ones that got good reviews still listed the emotional scenes as too whiny.
I don't remember that. I do recall the Uncle Ben scene being very pivotal. So you need that for Spider-Man's origin.
Definitely. I never saw a problem with that. Like, I think they got too much drama or like controversial like moments in like the third movie, but like the first movie, I think like it was a very well established moment. Like I think like the reaction from Peter was just genuine. Like,
yeah,
I know the critic really hates that scene, but I don't care.
I think maybe it was Mary Jane that people had the problems with because
Mary Jane, yeah, it was very
And in the Raimi films, no, it was definitely Peter.
Okay, I honestly don't remember him very well, but I do remember going, "Oh, the third movie's kind of weird." So I was just sort of whatever.
I mean, it is.
Yeah. So I wasn't too.
Only complaint 5.
Yeah, no, it's you realize if you have these types of actors performing the way they are and doing weird stuff, and Doc Ock and all these other bizarre characters, you're like, all right, I know what I'm in for. This is not to be taken too seriously. And if you're familiar with Spider-Man, the show in the 90s, also very, I would say, yeah, okay, there's Gargoyles in terms of maturity, in terms of how mature the storylines were. There's Gargoyles, Spider-Man, X-Men, and I'm trying to think of a few others. In terms of like, okay, this is for a mature audience or more intelligent script. So Spider-Man knew what it was doing. And I think they knew what they were doing in the movies as well. It's the action stuff. It's the hokey villain stuff. It's kind of like, ugh, that's kind of stupid. But we're talking about comic book movies, so you have to go campy a bit. It's kind of an unavoidable. So
Yeah, but definitely recently they've been able to a lot of them have been able to have more of a balance between the original campy source material and the more serious, like, modern writing stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean the original Batman 1989 was campy, but it was also a Tim Burton film, so it worked well with the style and the lines and the set design, all the other concepts. Like it just sort of worked in their own unique ways, and it's one of the greatest films growing up I ever watched, and it's a classic. Like, even the design of the Batmobile is my favorite design out of all the other Batmobiles. Even it inspired the animated series Batmobile, this long, sleek, black, almost armor-like thing. And we don't even know where it came from. Like, there's no backstory behind how the Batmobile got armor plated. It just pops out of nowhere. It's like, where does this? How does it?
Yeah, he just made it that way. That's what it alludes to.
Whereas Christopher Nolan says, "Oh, well, it's a tank. We got to make a tank because that's more realistic." You're like, all right, fine, whatever. A tumbler. It's a tumbler tank. Yeah, okay, great.
The tumbler. It's a cool design, but still,
like, nothing inspiring about it. It's just a tank.
The bike was cool. That was weird. That was that freaky looking. It was basically.
I actually really like that.
It was basically a bipod with a wheel at the end of it, and he's just like, all right, we're gonna go crazy with this thing that can go up walls and then turn around and stop on a dime.
It just worked very well with those scenes that it was.
And then it's counteracted by the stupid as hell Batman voice. You can say that Dark Knight is good all you fucking want, which, like, I tend to agree with now more nowadays. But you can't deny that Batman voice is the dumbest one of them all. It is.
Well, it was fine in Begins. They just, I don't know. Maybe they edited the voice or something.
I mean, in Begins it's fine because it's the first movie. That's the first time you're seeing Batman in that specific universe. But the fact that they kept going with it is the stupidity in the decision.
But I think they also edited it too because it was kind of more subtle.
They did.
But then Dark Knight Rises was like, it's like
that's when it really went overboard.
It's like he's got cancer or something.
I mean, it's like you can't deny that if the Nolan trilogy was adapted into a Lego game, that the jokes from that would have been spectacularly hilarious.
I still love the Pete Holmes skit of where were the other drugs going, and that. And the guy cannot understand a goddamn word he's saying. He's like, "What voice? What? I worked on this voice for hours with my best friends. They loved it." Like,
yeah, sure you did.
Well, the same shit happened with Bane too. You could barely understand what he's saying.
Well, the thing with Bane, that's a very good point because you can't. I don't know why they did that, but. The fact that it's just some British bloke with a mask on is like, all right, that's fine. I could buy it, but I still can't hear him.
The only voice dumber than the Nolan Batman voice
was Bane. I know. It's like I still can't hear you, man. It's
the perfect counter for Batman. That's why they had to introduce that voice.
It's imagine those two guys having a conversation normally, just like in a police precinct or something, and you're like, can you speak up, Batman? I can't hear you behind that mask. What did you say? Like, what?
It's like there's... Okay, let me just say this about Bane. It's like there's two, like, opposite sides. There's two extremes that you can go with Bane. You can either go with what they did in the animated universe, where, yeah, he's strong as hell, but he's also intelligent and calculating. That's the high bar. Or the low bar, which is what Schumacher did with him. Just having, like, a giant bloke idiot.
Right. The in-between is always the luchador / gangster guy, who's also a smart dude, but not too smart. He's like in between, which is the standard version I have of Bane when I think about him. He's wants power. Yeah. He's not too crazy for it, but he's also calculating, but not too calculating. He's also uses his drugs only when he needs to, and that was fine. That's good.
And he is one of the few in the Batman Rogues Gallery that within that in universe is not like mentally insane, like on the level of Joker or Two-Face or anything. And he's sane-minded.
And he does. There's lots of story with Nightfall arc. He does manage to hurt Batman almost permanently. Oh, yeah. So he is actually, you can't take him seriously, even though he's dressed up like a luchador and has massive muscles at times. So. Yeah, no.
Instead, they made him a simp.
They I don't know what they did with that.
I just wish that in Dark Knight Rises, like Bruce, just like when he was in the pit, and Bane was like talking to him, he would have just replied to Bane that like, Bane, you're the bane of my existence. And then he replies, yes,
unnecessary, Bane. Yes.
Oh yes, you must die.
All right.
Because he hates puns, right?
Here's Joe Crazy. Spider-Man 3 wasn't that bad. They had Eric Foreman Venom. Joking. Yeah, well. Venom was a good idea. I don't know if it was executed the best way.
The problem with that movie is that like it had way too many villains. Like, fucking Hobgoblin. Was it the Hobgoblin? Or was it just like
New
Green
Goblin?
Yeah, but yeah,
that's what they called him.
Okay, and then like Sandman, and then like Venom. What the fuck?
There wasn't enough time to tell that story with. Yeah, like the Sandman character was interesting, but there wasn't enough time to work with everyone.
Yeah, like Sandman was probably the bad ones.
It was interesting. I just think it falls apart because he's like, I'm going to team up with Venom to kill Peter Parker. Yeah.
Good meme material though.
All right, here's Mike Test again. Great design, terrible game, Tumblr Tank. Sorry, terrible name, Tumblr Tank.
Oh, yeah, Tumblr.
It worked for the film. I just wish they had a cooler car. Anyway, let's go.
Which begs the question, are superheroes just whiny bitches? I think about how many of them stand alone with their head down and brooding in frustration. A single tear or a fuckload of tears always seems to follow. So, is this the way superheroes should be? Or are we transforming them into something they're not? Again, it might make sense to connect these incredibly famous comic book characters to the great Greek myths. When their stories were told, their powers and abilities are what ultimately drew people to them. But as these gods and heroes stayed longer and longer, people wanted to know more and more about who they really are, about their stories and their turmoil, all in the hopes of maybe learning more about themselves. Thus, many of the Greek myths turned into cautionary tales, flying too close to the sun, pushing the boulder up the hill, teaching life lessons and tough morals without many people even realizing it. At least probably at the time. Thus, their stories are still told even today. In many respects, the evolution of the superhero is much the same. Kids didn't pick up a Superman comic because they wanted to know about his psychological journey. They picked it up because they wanted to see him fly and hit shit. They wanted to see him do all the things we couldn't do, but...
All right, so that's, when we're talking about the silver age of comics, I guess you can say, yes, we wanted to see awesome escapism, power fantasies, all the basic stuff you would when you were a kid. But then you mature and you say, well, what is Superman all about? Where does he come from? How does he do these things? Why does he do it? You ask basic questions, and you want to know the depth of his character the same way you do with any other story. So comics matured, audiences matured. Now we don't just read random TNA comics. We want characters that mean something, that have motivations, that make sense to us. So Superman matured, Batman matured, all these characters matured. And it goes in all stories, not just comic books in the Western world, but comics in the Eastern world and animations and all over the world. We want better stories. And that's how we get them. We get reasonings behind why things are happening, why characters are doing what they're doing. And we needed Superman and Spider-Man to have their downfalls, to have their moments of hubris, to figure out, I should have stopped that person before Uncle Ben died. That could have been someone else's Uncle Ben, or I have to prevent Uncle Ben from dying again from someone else's. So all these things happen. We have good reasons for why they happen and why we understand them. So that's why when he was making that joke about Uncle Ben and being whiny, it's like that's really important to Superman or Spider-Man rather. You should never make fun of that. That's kind of important to his story. And the movie was never whiny like that. I don't recall that at all. So,
I mean, it's weird because people have complained that, like, I guess he cries too much. Which, okay, but I don't know. It's like that was an important parental figure.
But
he even called him his father.
Yeah, but he mostly cries about or whines about life, like his relationship with Mary Jane, his job, his schooling, just paying the bills. That's about it. Like it's basic life stuff. You're like, oh, I can identify with that. That makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't he have problems?
Yeah.
So, but that's the Marvel stories though. They're supposed to be down to earth, whereas Superman is like, a god, and Batman's this billionaire playboy and whatever. So
the movies and serials that followed soon after reflected this too. People would tune in to watch Superman on TV or Batman on the big screen to see them fight crime and look cool doing it. There wasn't really much analysis of what was going on inside their heads. While these serials do have a charm all their own, I think many can admit that they don't hold up phenomenally well. The formula was often the same. Villain causes trouble, hero saves the day, hero looks cool while doing it. If both the serials and the comics stuck to this formula, chances are neither would last very long. But both of them made the connection that superheroes represent everything we want to be, so it makes sense to show how we could be like them. The goal was no longer to make them...
I don't think that's exactly right. I mean, sure, there's some sort of hero worshipness and desire to fly and, shoot death rays out of your eyes sometimes, but...
yeah, it's a bit of a reach.
Yeah, I don't know if too many people wanted to be Batman or just like, ooh, wouldn't that be cool to ride in the Batmobile? That might be fun. I don't think too many people want to have a grappling gun and launch themselves around.
I want to have a grappling gun.
Yeah, but
yeah, why wouldn't you?
Have you ever thought of
a Batmobile? I want to launch my yes.
You physically thought of jumping off a building?
Yes.
With no supports and then just magically pulling out a grappling gun, hoping for the okay. I mean, it's your life.
Yeah, I would like that very much. The husband before.
But back to the psychological thing, like. This growth in comic books isn't unique to comic books. We've seen this with King Arthur. We've seen this with the Knights of the Round Table, like where over time, and with Greek mythology, over time as the characters get mature, like Smud was talking about, we see them adapt to people want to know more about the person and not just their abilities. So this isn't something unique to comic books.
Yeah. See it in all forms of media, right?
Well, I mean, in terms of recurring characters, recurring caricatures that have their own stories, so like Greek mythology and superheroes and like King Arthur, recurring legends that last like decades or hundreds of years, you're going to see that growth where people are going to slowly want more.
Okay.
That's what I was talking
when you have
about. I don't think that this is a concept that's unique to superheroes.
Definitely.
With the mythological elements of oral traditions, you're talking about how to teach kids to behave well, and that's why you have the fear of the gods and what they can do if you're not paying attention. What is an earthquake? What's a lightning storm? With the serialization of, let's say, a Batman story, it's an idea. It's like, okay, there is a vigilante crime fighter who dresses up like this and he breaks into windows and he beats people up. It's like, whoa, that's cool. And then we have to go, wait a second, does he keep doing this? How did this start? How is this possible? Because these questions start
out simple.
Yeah, it starts simple.
Out with the practicality and then it grows with the physiology of the character.
And how he became this way, and the explanations are a little bit too much, even for the basic ones. Like, how can he fight? Oh, he mastered everything. It's like, we did? How did he do that? And then they explain that, and it still doesn't make sense that Bruce Wayne is just really, really good at fighting, and he just picked up martial arts really, like everywhere he went, he picked up he mastered a martial art within weeks.
Well, I think that's more what Johnny Bravo's thing is he just knows every martial art. I think with Batman, he trained under the League of Shadows, at least in most adaptations.
Oh, I'm talking about.
So I think what you're saying is something the writers themselves thought. They're like, how about we explain it, add some lore here. How about there's a very specific organization he trained under?
Oh yeah, like he went
instead of just doing the Johnny Bravo thing where he just knows every martial art.
Well, I don't know about Johnny Bravo, but with Batman, he almost knows like 126 martial arts. He went with the FBI for 2 weeks, but it wasn't his thing. He trained under a boxer. He trained under an escape artist. He trained under a thief. Like all these things, like make perfect sense, except when it gets to like these stories of him jumping off a mountain on a kite because the master told him to. It's just like, oh, that's cool. Like that's unique. And that's this kind of stuff we want to know about. But when you just say, yeah, he mastered this, then this, then this, then that, then he developed his own style, he did this and this, and it's like, oh my God, how did you do that?
Yeah, I think it started out that way. I think with most heroes, it kind of starts out that way, and then slowly over time they explain it. I know with other heroes that have superpowers, usually it's a little more forgivable for it to be contrived. But when you have a character like Batman that doesn't have superpowers, it's like, okay, we're going to have to explain this.
Yeah. So the theme of Batman becomes, okay, there's a criminal of the week, or there's an ongoing plot, and he has to use his brain power to figure it out. So it becomes a mystery. So you're telling a mystery story, which may involve murder, may involve theft, may involve some conspiracy, and you have to be a good writer to get into those stories and to get in those plots and develop each character in a certain way.
Well, because he's basically an exaggerated interpretation of what a detective is. He's like super detective man.
He has his own army.
That's basically what
he's his own detective. He's his own forensics team. He has specialists he can call upon. He has, kind of like the Sherlock Holmes bit going for him as well. So there's lots of things that Batman is good at, and you have to explain that, but then you have to give him challenges that make sense. So you have to have a rogues gallery, and there has to be a reason why these crazy people are crazy and over the top, or else Batman wouldn't need to exist. So there's all these things that have to work on top for these stories to work, and it's just a natural development of storytelling. When you have a basic idea, and go, oh, I got to explain this. I got to explain that. Does he have relationships? Who is his family? Yada, yada, yada. So it's cool, but it takes time. And people just naturally adapt to it when the times. But Batman hasn't really changed past the 70s. Sure, there's weird stories where he gets like cybernetic implants and armor and all kinds of Wayne Tech gadgets and paraphernalia, but he's still pretty much Batman all the way through. He hasn't really altered much, unless you want to interpret the TV show in the 60s, I think, or the 70s.
The best interpretation.
The Adam West.
The Adam West, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Anyway, Joe Crazy. The original name for this video was Are Superheroes Whiny Bitches? I think he changed it because of YouTube. Oh my God. Oh boy.
He did say it.
The thing is, I don't think
that
that Spider-Man is a good example, because Spider-Man is supposed to be a coming of age story. He's supposed to be relatable to younger people. That was the whole point of the character, according to Stan Lee. So I don't think that if we're gonna say, are superheroes too whiny, I think that picking Peter Parker might be a little bit biased. I don't think that that's a good way to start, because he's kind of supposed to be still growing up. He's still learning how to become a man.
Yeah, that's part of
the story.
There's lots of X-Men comics. Generation Next, I know because I bought it, but even all the multiple versions of the X teams, they're teenagers. They're scared. They don't know what to do. They don't know their powers. They're just learning. And that's part of the Marvel stories, is they have these down-to-earth characters that are just people that don't know what to do. And they die, they cry.
Powers.
Sorry?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I'm just saying that they're people and they're growing, and they don't know what they're trying to do. They don't know where they fit in. They don't know what they want to do this, but they realize that they're part of a team. They want to help each other. So there's this whole sense of unity with the Xavier School for the Gifted and wanting to do better and this and that. And it's not just them, it's also their villains or their counterparts, with the, what was it? The School of, not the School of M, the House of M, I think, storyline. There's all the villains in X-Men. There's so many. I don't know all the teams, but they are also showcased as being people that have the same problems. And that's why they're likable. We like the villains in the X-Men world or the Marvel world because they are believable. Aside from some of the hokey ones like Green Goblin and whatever.
Blob.
The Blob is interesting, yeah. Mike Testa. Channel awesome and these crystal skeleton closet. Oh, yeah. Anyway, back to the video.
Look strong and vulnerable, but instead relatable and even fragile. I mean, hey, it's much easier to pretend we're these characters if they're made more human. And whether by accident or not, they've reflected the responsibility of what it means to do the right thing. But if the superhero is going to be more relatable, the enemies have to be more realistic. And even something that seems as simple as the right thing can be a very complicated issue in the real world. A supervillain or a robber in a mask is very easy to figure out. But wars, politics, prejudice, and so forth, these are a bit more complex. So for a superhero to always
Okay, hold on. Can you pause that for
me?
All right, I understand what he's trying to do. So basically, his argument is that if you're going to make a hero more relatable, that means that the story itself has to become more nuanced. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that you can make a hero more relatable without having to also make the villains sympathetic and add politics in there. You don't have to do that.
No, I think even Stan Lee was saying the hardest part of writing Spider-Man or writing any comic for that matter was the villain. Because in most cases he said that villains were there because they were like mountains and you just had to defeat them for the hero. So he had to make compelling villains, and that's what he set out to do. And that was the hardest part of his job. And because of that, the Marvel method, if you guys recall that, he allowed Kirby to draw everything and have a little, footnotes here and there of what he was trying to do. So he created Galactus, like this massive giant being who eats planets. You're like, okay, can't relate to that. So he created his herald because it would make sense. You'd have a guy who'd come by and say, hey, we're coming by to eat your planet. And he can't just be any guy. He has to be some powerful dude. And he's going to warn whatever civilization. And he's going to have his own humanity. And that's a whole other thing. So that it was a whole story within a story. So Galactus is so beyond our concept. And trying to talk about the Marvel gods and even the DC gods is really weird because it doesn't make too much sense. So you try to distance yourself and keep them as mysterious as possible while just keeping their motives as simple as possible. So Galactus just wants to eat planets, right? Simple stuff. And it's the complexity of trying to stop him, trying to slow him down, trying to prove to him that...
It's a really relatable story. It's a man and his snacks.
Man and his snacks. Like, hey, dude, this planet's not it's not ripe, man. You just got to wait another billion years or so. It'll be perfect. You gotta...
Just think of it as cheese.
Oh, boy. Then you have, of course...
But the thing is, I think that having to make a story's villains more nuanced and having to incorporate, the complexities of the story, I think that's a separate argument from simply making a hero a little bit more relatable.
Yeah.
I don't think those are necessarily the same thing.
Well,
if your goal is to make the hero more relatable, that's not necessarily the same goal as let's make the foundation of the story more complex.
Really?
I don't think that's necessarily the same exact argument.
No. I think relatability gets confused a lot because people talk about it. Oh, I can understand Batman here. It's like, yeah, I can understand sentences and words too. I can feel what's going through his head. It's fine. It's just that this focus of, did he have a reason to do it? It's like, yeah, we have a plot. We know why he wants something, and if he deviates from that, you have to have a good reason. So the basics of any story is the plot, what they're trying to do, and why they're trying to do it. If that's there, then we can relate to Batman. We can relate to the Joker. We relate to whoever because we know what they're trying to do, and they've told us why. That's why the Joker gets a lot of leeway because he's nuts. He's absolutely crazy, and that's his excuse for everything. Yes, he's totally insane. And
but what if he's right?
That's the great part about Joker. Even though he's crazy, a madman, he's got some logic and meaning behind his madness. And we have this wonderful, crazy story of another crazy person dressing up as a bat, trying to stop this other crazy guy. So it's kind of like, all right, this is two extreme scenarios of two people trying to do the opposite, and it works. And it's one mastermind versus another, and it depends on how generous and how sharp Batman is that time, because sometimes he's not very sharp or not can predict everything.
It depends on the adaptation, but also depending on the adaptation, it's perfectly reasonable to write a simple story that isn't too complex and still have a relatable character. You know, but Nostalgia Critic seems to be saying here that, it's always an extremely complicated process just to make a hero more relatable. It's like, well, I think that's a little bit of an extreme statement. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Right. Batman could be thinking about stock market prices while he's jumping from building to building. You know? He's got a billion things on his mind. He's like, wait a second, I got to sell tomorrow morning. Oh, shit, I got to go back and tell Alfred to hold off on this meeting I'm going to have. And
I got to invest into crypto.
Lucius, invest $6,000 in Bitcoin as he's grappling.
Yeah, he's doing all these crazy things.
$6,000 into Batcoin.
Can you imagine how much pressure you're under being Batman? Just every moment of your life, like, I got to do this, I got to do that. Shit, I got 20 other things to do next 2 hours. I don't figure that out, someone's going to die. Then I got to go back to a meeting at 3 p.m. with the shareholders and talk about some exchanges we're going to be making. Like it's just nuts. Your life is crazy.
That would actually be a really funny skit, like just a comic called Stressed Out Batman, or Batman is very stressed out, and it's just like a fucking manga style comic of Batman like using his grapnel gun to complete a mission. Meanwhile, he's like sweating because he's arguing with Alfred over stock prices and shit. He's got like 20 million things on his mind.
Yeah, that does
that's
sound
a funny
like Japanese
idea.
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, then you like.
No, it just sounds like a funny idea. Like as he's in the middle of beating the crap out of somebody, he has to argue with Alfred over stock prices and what to do with the company and shit. Like that's a really fun
I would
idea.
fucking read that.
Yeah, and he gets frustrated and judo chops a Ming vase because.
Well, let's see that now. DC, come.
Well, it's kind of like a parody of, because we know that there's a lot of times where while he's Bruce Wayne, he's stressing out about the things he has to do as Batman, but we don't as often see Batman stressing out about the things he has to do as Bruce Wayne, except for so that would be a
Batman
and
stuff
that's
would
like
be just background.
that would be like the parody of its most extreme state, is he's arguing with Alfred over stock prices while he's flinging through the sky trying to stop the Joker.
Oh, hopefully it would
Gotham that tries to like introduce like some new tax changes.
Well,
like he has to like fight the IRS.
Either that, or it would be like the flavors of tea that Alfred bought that month. It's like, didn't we just have Earl Grey 2 years ago? It's like, yes, sir, it's your favorite. It's your mother's favorite. And I buy it for this occasion. I didn't buy it last year because you didn't want it, and now you still don't want it. You have problems, Master Bruce.
Well, it's like tea that he has to have, like that he's getting set up for certain annual meetings, and like he remembers a passive statement one of the aristocrats made about not caring much for Earl Grey, and he's like arguing with Alfred, like you realize that he just said he didn't like Earl Grey.
It's something so inane that he has to pay attention to. He hates. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he has to like pay attention to these asinine nuances of political diplomacy while he's in the middle of being a vigilante.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Here's Tyler Preston. Thank you for the donation. Doug, you have to be more precise when you say realistic, because that word can and have been used very differently. Yes. If you look at the Nolan trilogy, you look at 1989 Batman, very different understandings of realism. So, and of course being live action. So it's very, very strange to look at all the various comic books. I don't mean the detective comics, but like there's Detective Comics, there's Man-Bat, there's so many Elseworlds, there's so many other flavors of Batman. So realism in those comics are all different. And what is more realistic to one writer will not be as accurate or detailed to another. So yeah, it is important. Realism is not the main factor of a story. It is a nice factor. It helps with believability, but the main issue is believability. And believability does not need realism. It can, if you're telling a realistic story.
Well, because sometimes adding in realism could deter from the plot.
It depends. It really
you'll
depends.
be trying too hard to explain something, or you'll be trying too hard to cause certain chain reactions to occur in events.
Yeah, like Batman.
Sometimes that can actually take away from realism.
Batman
if
hooking
you try
up
too hard to explain it.
Batman becoming a god and hooking himself up to the Mobius chair is crazy. But all right. The fact that he's in the chair, and instead of like asking the chair all the answers to everything, he asks the chair, "Who's the Joker?" And the chair shows him 3 Jokers. He doesn't ask the chair, "How is this possible?" He gets out of the chair and starts hunting them down and figuring this out by himself. Instead of just asking the chair again, like, who are these guys? Anyway, Batman's funny.
Thing always easy, and the stories logically have to reflect that. So, just like the Greek myths, the superhero knew that if it wanted to last and be timeless, it would have to reflect the most important human needs at its core.
Yes, sort of. He could have said, to be timeless, he would have to change to the times, meaning what's popular this decade? What's the topic of? What's the issue? Is it politics? Is it war? Is it food shortages? Is it a cancer? Like, what's the problem? So there's lots of ways that mythos changes and adapt the same way Batman is adapted with the Silver Age of comics, or from the Silver Age, into more mature readership. So I really think it has to do with the audience as opposed to the human condition, because we talk about Gilgamesh and Enkidu or all these other Jason the Argonauts. They don't really focus too much on the human condition. Maybe the human condition at that time, but not so much about a human general universal. Like, I don't think that's... It's basically a story of revenge of Jason the Argonauts and to get his birthplace home from his evil uncle. That's about it. Like that, I can't relate to usurping a king from my familial family estate and going on this mythical journey. I just can't. It doesn't wrap I can't relate to that. I'm sorry. So, but revenge I can understand. So if he's talking about a plot that's universal, sure, but that's any story. So I don't think that's specifically unique to mythos or myths.
It would need to adapt with time, become more personal, make changes that would create more interesting characters and dilemmas. This got me thinking about the superhero films that did this.
Again, that's just like, Wonder Woman likes a certain flavor of tea. So we're going to show her, sitting in a cafe and she's trying to have a life and she can't because there's a problem. There's always a problem. And she can't just sit down for 2 seconds. Like Batman can never catch a break. He's always on the ball. He's always on the clock. And he knows that, but he's accepted that.
It's even to the point Alfred is like, please take a break. He's like, fuck you, Alfred.
What did you say, Master Bruce? Sorry.
Gotta invest into something.
Wasn't expecting Ethereum to crank up like that in the past 2 minutes.
Right.
Oh, wow,
I like to make
great.
fun of the campiness of the original Superman. It does address several heavy elements. Mortality, responsibility, gaining great power, losing great power. What you have control over and what you don't have control over. It played with the morality, the ethics, the choices of one who has so much and the effect it has on the world around him. This wasn't written by some Saturday morning cartoon writer either. This was written by Mario Puzo, the author of The Godfather. And he treated the mythos of this character very seriously. Why? Because he saw the human potential. Even the exact same story can warrant 2 very different interpretations. Both Batman and Batman Begins have the same setup. Child's parents are shot, grows up feeling guilty, dresses up like Bat to avenge their death. A classic logical conclusion. But the journey of our hero in Batman Begins is dealt with in great detail, seeing every major development in his life and the impact it has in creating who he is.
I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored. I can be destroyed, but as a symbol. As a symbol, I can be incorruptible. I can be everlasting. Something terrifying.
The journey in the first Batman film is done more in the shadows and off-screen, leaving the development to a very simple choice of select words.
Look, sometimes I don't know what to think about this. It's just something I have to do.
Why?
Because nobody else can.
Both get across exactly what they need to get across. It's just one is more shrouded in detail and the other is more shrouded in mystery. But they both work. And with that said, there's no doubt that the dark, harsh superhero has now become very popular over the years. Maybe as a means to fight against the campiness of the past or rebel against those who still see them as mere kid stuff. But the question still remains, is it warranted? Are we going too far with the adult stuff, or are we evolving from the simple action-packed basics? This caused me to look back at the often hated Superman Returns. And while I can't defend it as a good film, as many of the criticisms against it I do agree with, that being that it is often boring and very clumsy, I have to acknowledge that it was doing some things very well. Like it did address what it meant to have these powers in today's world, in a different way that the past films didn't. The simple image of Superman floating in space hearing all the problems of the world I still think sums up the weight and pressure in one simple image. No big speeches or direct morals, just one simple shot.
What do you hear?
Nothing.
I hear everything.
That's all you need. I get all the anxiety and torment that can beat down on a guy just from those few lines. But we're asking whether or not this stuff can become too heavy-handed. And nowhere is that more obvious in superhero films today than in the Jesus symbolism. Yeah, don't act like you haven't seen this all over the place. Why the hell do we need so much of it? Yes, they're the martyr, the saint, the everlasting guilt trip that will make you appreciate the sacrifice they make. What is the point? The way I see it, this either shows how similar superheroes are to Jesus, I guess to show how incredible they are in both power and humility.
This is
the same.
What is he talking about?
This is looking too much into it. No.
I mean, when you think about it, it actually is the same archetype, but I don't think that it's as...
Well,
I think it's just following the archetype. I don't think they're following Jesus Christ himself. They're not following that.
Maybe Snyder, but...
when you're talking about the hero archetype, you're talking about a guy who can be courageous enough to do something that no one else will and be physically able to do such a thing. So it's not just some...
Yeah, and in order to fit those two qualities, those are two Jesus-like qualities. That doesn't mean they're copying Jesus Christ.
No,
Jesus Christ was the first hero. No one was before him. He created an entire franchise.
We can blame Zack Snyder for the imagery, but I mean, we look at Superman not as the Jesus character, but as the Moses character, the guy who's leading people to a promised land of justice and honesty and truth and all the right things to be in American society. That was the idea. I don't think, unless the Jewish author was like, yeah, Jesus is awesome. I want to,
What does that make Punisher?
Oh, not the opposite of Jesus.
Actually, I think the Punisher would be more like Moses because of when he buried the Egyptian in the sand.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Moses is the Punisher, guys.
Mind blown.
Oh. Yeah, well. He didn't like religion too.
Somebody upload a meme of Moses' head on the Punisher's suit. It'd be amazing.
Oh, yes.
I want Moses with the Punisher's shirt on.
Oh, yeah.
Moses shooting shit up.
Which Punisher? The one from Warzone?
Yes.
Doesn't matter. Just put Moses on. Just give Moses the Punisher up. Someone please make a picture of Moses the Punisher.
Yeah. Bears. Do it.
No. Don't give him ideas.
Put it in the memes.
Yeah. Tyler Preston, thank you. Fun fact, Wonder Woman once actually worked at a Taco Bell stand in the comics. Huh. Why not?
Oh.
I mean, you are Wonder Woman. You may as well...
That's like a dream come true.
Get a job.
But I always wanted to know where her income comes from, so thank you.
Where does she get all that energy? Taco Bell.
Probably, I just want her to feed me tacos. That'd be the dream.
Probably not the best form of energy, but I guess she's in a rush. So
it's a very specific diet.
It's a very certain kind of the world, a certain part of the world, and lots of plant protein. Okay.
Oh, that's a good point. Does that mean Jesus is a woman?
No.
How did you come to this conclusion?
Oh, I don't know, because we're comparing superheroes to Jesus, apparently.
It's just Zach, guys. It's just Zach. Don't worry about it.
Okay, Zack Snyder, like, I don't know, there has to be like some side that counted how many times he used Jesus imagery or like Christianity. But like, I think like at least in Man of Steel he used it like 5 times. Meanwhile, like the Spider-Man example that like he showed, I think like there was that one scene.
Yeah, but that scene
was maybe the church.
They were just carrying him to safety. That's it.
Yeah, that was that.
And his arms were just wrecked from holding those webs while the train was trying to stop. So I guess he's a little atrophied a bit. He's like, I can't move my arms. They hurt.
I mean, Captain America does the same thing. Does that mean he's that Jesus imagery too?
Yeah, Jesus was a soldier.
Really, with Captain America? Oh wow. Jeez, I didn't know that. I always thought the DC world used the gods as like the heroes are gods and they fight gods, whereas Marvel used more down to earth people fighting other down to earth people with their own problems. Just that the power levels just started spiking. You start talking about Omega level mutants that they just evolve so fast. They could withstand the passage of time, and they can fly and go through objects and manipulate matter like it's nothing. It's like, oh,
there's like a mutant that can blow up, right? Like almost like a bomb. I forget what his
name. There's a few there's one guy called Chamber who is basically just a husk of a man. He doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep, he doesn't breathe. He's just this pure psionic core of energy. And he just explodes. So
that's crazy.
It's a cool character, but it's just so like, whoa. And the way he developed his power was he's a British dude, he was playing in a rock band, and he was just jamming too hard, and just giant explosion. And he has it's kind of funny. He has no mouth or jaw, so he looks like a burn victim with all these wrappings around his body, and he communicates telepathically. So he can get by the shape of his chin, like he has to physically think of it to make it look like a chin underneath the bandages. So all these things he has to do to fit in.
Wow, I want to see that in a movie.
You know what? They tried to do that with live action. It was Generation Next in the late 90s or early 2000s. I can't remember the date. And they didn't have the CGI to pull it off, so they just made him into a Cyclops ripoff. Yeah, wasn't very exciting. Anyway. I love that comic book. Sadly, it didn't go anywhere. Joe Crazy, hey, how's it going? If Superman is Jesus and Punisher is Moses, what? No. Does that make Deadpool Judas? What? No.
Yes. Yes, it does.
I don't think the Punisher is Moses. I really don't. And I don't think Superman is Jesus. No.
Oh. I like the Punisher Moses concept. I like that a lot.
I don't know how that works, but okay.
He gave a warning to them though. Like, I don't think the Punisher like warns that. He's just a fucking executioner.
He just blows shit up.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, Moses was pretty kind. Like, he said like, I'm gonna do this, so can you fuck off?
No, Moses saw the Egyptian beating up the Jewish person. And then he just
that wasn't kosher enough.
He just beat the living shit out of the Egyptian and then buried him alive.
Oh,
that sounds about right.
Moses doesn't fuck around, dude.
Other times
I want someone to draw Moses with like a machine gun, Rambo style.
Well, he just calls on God to do the rest of the work. So he's like, all right, 40 days, 40 nights, frogs, fire, blood, whatever. God, have fun.
Yeah, but as he's saying that, you gotta have him reloading a bunch of guns.
I can't help you.
That'd be brilliant, man. I swear.
Yeah, 80s action moves, 80s action movie Moses.
Who would be Arnold Schwarzenegger in that story?
Yep.
You would need...
Or Sylvester Stallone.
You would need someone to go back in time. And your question is, who would be Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Wasn't there like a horrible skit?
Part the Red
it was
Sea
like the Terminator
of blood.
with Jesus.
Sylvester Stallone.
That was Mad TV.
Moses.
Mad TV, yes.
That was fantastic.
You can de-age them digitally, right?
Stop killing Judas. Why?
Why?
Like when he's giving out the
It's
10
gonna kill
Commandments,
you.
it's like fucking Judge Dredd giving out the 10 Commandments.
Get down if you want to
Be
live.
back.
Then Jesus gets pissed off and says, Stop killing Judas. Give me that gun.
Someone should be funding this.
Don't worry, he'll be back.
This could save Hollywood.
I don't think there is any saving Hollywood.
No.
You could just slow the sinking of the ship.
All right.
Yokai is going like Ra's al Ghul, full on it. Like we have to burn it. No,
I think it's doing a fine job of burning itself. I don't think they need help.
Yeah, that's true.
No, they don't.
It doesn't hurt to put some oil on it.
Well, you know what? The next Suicide Squad is, I don't know why they did a remake or whatever it's supposed to be, but it actually looks decent. So.
It looks like
it's supposed to be a sequel, right?
Really?
I don't know.
Is it the sequel?
That's what they said, right?
I'm not worried about it.
That's why you got the same characters coming back. And I don't know.
It takes balls to pull that off, so I'm glad they're trying it, but that could fail.
As long as Jared Leto isn't in it, I'm happy.
Oh, you don't
It
like
already
Jared Leto?
gives it like micro star better rating than the other one.
You know,
and if you just don't have an editing like a fucking trailer, that's
out
also
of all the Jokers we've ever seen, and even going back to Adam West, I think that's one of the worst I've ever.
Yes.
Something is off with Jared Leto's Joker.
I mean, he played a good transvestite.
From Breaking Bad.
Jared Leto can play a good transvestite, like in Dallas Buyers Club. I don't know about Joker though.
I know my favorite Jared Leto performance was in Fight Club when he got the shit beat out of him. So
he had like
that
3
was
lines.
Like his best thing.
He gets beaten up.
He was too beautiful or something like that.
It was improv.
Yeah.
It's actually like a prequel to the Joker.
It wasn't even
performance he
footage.
did
They
in
just forgot to turn the
Suicide
camera
Squad.
off.
Yeah.
Oh wait, dude, that was just an outtake. Oh.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't
great.
even an outtake. Like they just left it running.
Was that a trial run for what's his name's in American History X when he beats the shit out of everyone? Just
You're gonna remind me of that shit movie?
yeah.
Is it a bad movie?
Well,
I saw like the first 15 minutes.
I didn't much care for it.
No. It's just imagine Edward Norton just beating the shit out of people. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's Fight Club.
Oh, okay.
Just taking out on Jared Leto. It's like, yeah,
It just follows the typical evil white man trope.
Yeah.
It was a very annoying movie.
Pretty much.
You
Anyway.
don't like that? I mean, that's the problem that's occurring right now.
Oh yeah, a bunch of people, crazy Nazis, punching people in the face. Yeah.
Raving white man.
Anyway, back to the imagery with Jesus and Superman.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Jesus is to superheroes. That he had all this power and yet used it for peace and kindness. Either way, I don't see why we constantly have to see these similarities. I think we have enough variations on him already. I don't know why these guys can't just rely on their own mythos. I used to have long hair too. It doesn't mean you have to make a comparison between me and him. Though if he wore glasses, he would be a pretty awesome looking hipster. But that's not the only thing that's going too far. Just like the exposing of nothing but their superpowers in the past got old, maybe the exposing of all their emotional baggage is starting to get a little old too. At least in the sense that it's starting to become an overly recognizable formula.
Okay, if you have a dying father figure, I think we can relate. I think most people can go, okay, yeah, that's cool.
Doug Walker cannot. Like, if like he had like one of them dying, he would be like, well, I saw this in Spider-Man, so I'm not gonna react.
It's one thing to have a dying father figure. It's another thing to realize that you caused this, or your lack of action caused this. And if you're not sad or choked up a bit, I mean, holy crap, dude. What don't you need to understand here? This is pretty obvious, straightforward stuff. It's very early on.
Why am I supposed to care?
Why would the protagonist start crying over the death of his father that he inadvertently caused? I don't know. It's so repetitive. I've seen this before. I was like, oh my God.
I mean, like, this version of, like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but, like, yeah. This adaptation of, like, the Uncle Ben scene was just, like, had, like, the much better build-up than compared to, like, The Amazing Spider-Man. Because, like, this was, like...
Oh, yeah.
He had, like, a little, like, conversation beforehand that, like, the responsibility stuff. And then, like, Peter totally ignored it. And, like, his actions led to this moment. And then, like, Peter just has this realization that, like, he was just so dumb. While the other movie is just... Yeah,
it just happens.
It just happens, and nobody in New York was New York City. Nobody was there to notice this. Like, that was like amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and then he was trying to track him down or something, and then he forgot about it because he's trying to get it on with Gwen Stacy or something.
Yes,
that was funny.
We're starting to recognize certain scenes more and more, and people seem to think that just making the scene without adding anything else justifies it being there.
All right, well, when we say making anything else, like this scene is actually pretty good in the school where he's hiding in the closet. Like there's lots of good scenes in Man of Steel, but there's lots of other bad scenes as well. So, like adding stuff like his school life and he's reading Plato and he's getting picked on by bullies, like that's good. That makes sense. We want to see stuff like that.
And that's, again, why Peter Parker isn't a good example for this complaint. Because Peter Parker is supposed to be incorporating more of that than your average hero, because it's a coming-of-age story.
Yeah, he is already at the lowest, not the lowest point in his life, but he's already unpopular.
The point is, even if superheroes weren't considered to typically be relatable nowadays, Peter Parker would be the one that is. So it's not a good example.
He still is, yeah.
It's almost universal with the kid being picked on at school, in high school or wherever. So it's totally fine. So I don't think we're ever going to, unless schools go out of style and everyone's being taught online nowadays and we don't have public schools anymore, then yeah, you'd have to figure that out to make a proper growth story of being picked on or some sort of conflict where you're not learning and you're lazy. I don't know. The times change, right? You have to adapt to the times. So that's what I'm saying. You can't just keep telling the story if schools go out of fashion, like buildings go out. So there has to be some other forum where people interact.
Buildings go out of fashion.
I don't know. It could happen next 10 years. Who knows? That everyone talks online. We have all these phones and holographic displays, and everyone associates because the virus is bad. And how do you have a coming of age story like that? I don't know. I'd have to see it to believe it. But that would be the new Peter Parker. It would be a techno-futuristic world where communication is done virtually. And
it'd be Schmuck Parker.
It would be like going to the dance, going to the prom, not being picked up, not being talked to or addressed, or going to some social gathering where you're excluded. So something like that. But you could still tell the story. It would still work because we could relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's Joe Crazy again. I still think it was dumb the MCU left out Uncle Ben, one of the many weird decisions in this recent movie run.
Well, you see, like, yes, I fully agree. But, like, the problem with the MCU is that, like, it's so big at that point. Like, I think, like, they had to, like, handle, like, the Avengers storyline so much that, like, putting, like, emphasis on, like, Uncle Ben is just, like, where can you fit that? Like, you have to, like, tangle the Iron Man story somehow.
Well, put it in a 1-minute scene. I don't know.
It's almost a blessing that the X-Men franchise was not handled, because if you read the original Infinity Gauntlet, there's the majority of the characters are the X-Men in that story. They're not the foes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you imagine having to deal with, like, dozens and dozens of characters. Like, it wouldn't work.
Even at that point, like, it was like, who the hell is this? because like I haven't watched all the Marvel movies, so I was like, oh well, I guess they exist. Cool.
Yeah.
Even though like Captain Marvel can just do this shit by herself, by how much overpowered bitch she has become in that movie.
I don't remember Captain Marvel.
And then they're villains for Tony Stark too, which is weird.
There's so many, and the focus was the gemstones and who was the personification of that stone and how that worked, and why Thanos had to give up the gun or how he lost. Like it's very intricate. So I can't remember the exact method, but they skipped out an entire character. Was it Adam Warlock? I think his name was.
Yes.
That was central to the plot. He was one of the main characters. So there's lots of things they had to change to adapt it, and I'm just glad it worked out. People seem to enjoy it. I'm glad it made that strange storyline work. Out of all the other bizarre and probably better stories out there on the Marvel world, that one was the goal. I'm like, all right, fine. They managed to make a franchise out of it, so it's pretty cool that they pulled it off.
I wish that if they were to do X-Men, I would just want like a standalone Cyclops movie that was like Logan quality, you know?
I don't know.
I don't think
really
MCU could do that
because I just don't care how.
They don't
No,
really
I'm
have the
just
balls
I'm not.
for it.
No, I don't think they'll ever do it. I'm just saying I want it.
It can work.
That would be
because
cool.
He has a family. He has girlfriends. He cheats on his girlfriend. Like the typical family or drama crap. Yeah, you could do it probably.
I want them to animate Iceman becoming gay.
Oh boy,
It's the best story.
I would want to see.
I think in the older, wasn't it in like the older incarnations of Cyclops, he was a little bit older. It wasn't until more recently they made him a little bit younger. I want like an older Cyclops.
The whole thing with Jean Grey and White Queen and all that crap was just confusing. If you want something,
just make Cyclops like a John Wick badass. Just make Cyclops like make like a John Wick style Cyclops movie.
I think a
the
Jubilee
same actor from the.
I think a Jubilee and Wolverine story would work just because it's simpler. And
yeah, but I mean, it's weird what they did with Wolverine. There were like the standalone Wolverine movies, and then there were the X-Men movies, and they kept.
And none of them ever make any sense.
It's like make like a standalone badass John Wick Cyclops movie. Give me my John Wick Cyclops.
Oh, that'd be great.
Cyclops has a dog.
I would rather go with the Bishop storyline. I think Bishop would work better. If you want a renegade kind of guy who goes back in time to fix things and he's confused at how stuff works.
I know, but I like Cyclops though.
Cyclops is.
You didn't like how he died in X3?
Cyclops is kind of. He's kind of the hated X-Men because of how he behaved and how he treated people.
In which one?
I can't remember the storyline. It's pretty much he cheats on Jean Grey.
Why?
And then he hooks up with.
Then just have him not do that.
Well, okay. I mean that would fix
Brilliant.
That would fix a lot of things, but it's so weird how it connects with the Sinestro plot Mr. X plot. What was it? Sinestro?
Make a John Wick style Cyclops reboot.
Okay.
Where he's using the laser instead of guns. Fuck it,
and
use
we just
laser
get Keanu
and guns.
Reeves?
I don't give a shit. It doesn't have to be Keanu, but he's up there. He could be he could, you know, he's a top choice. Doesn't have to be him.
Whoa.
My brain is like,
or we
I don't know.
Get that same guy.
He is popular.
You got the guy that shoots lasers. He doesn't even need to have a gun on him. Make him a badass. Make a standalone movie about Cyclops and make him a badass.
They're optic blasts. They're not lasers, and it's all kinetic energy.
I don't
Who would he
care.
fight, though?
Just make the movie.
Who would he fight?
I don't know. I don't care. I just want him to be a badass.
Anyway,
no, he was a badass.
This was about Cyclops as John Wick.
I would rather see a Colossus story. Honestly, I think that'd be more interesting.
Oh yeah.
This Russian man, he's like,
the Russian Colossus, right? Not the American
I want to
one.
take care of my sister, but she's so far away, so I must raise money in America to Why is everyone picking on me?
Or make a Cable movie.
Cable is crazy shit. That would be fun, yeah.
Make a Cable movie with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh,
that would work. That would work.
I mean, just do it. Just do it.
Honestly, the guy they got in the Deadpool film was good too.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin.
Yes.
He was good too.
Thanos.
Yeah. They should make another
You
one.
didn't like him?
Yeah, Cable and Deadpool movie would be great. Lots of great movies you can make with these characters. They're so fun.
But it's too crazy for normal audiences to accept.
Oh yeah, that's true. They can't relate.
Is it like really crazy? Like, cause like I feel like if you introduce it like pretty well, like it's like relatable, and you just like understand like what you just see on the screen. It's just like good enough for you. Like, you're just gonna like accept like the crazy to a while. Like there are like so many other like movies just like that.
I think that one movie, like I just saw Mortal Kombat last night. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a fun movie, but
I did.
They could have done a better job of generalizing it to a wider audience, but at the same time, it's like you kind of want to cater to the fans, though, you know. So that can be difficult to balance between generalizing it to a wider audience while at the same time catering to the fans. Because the way they did it was they're just like, it starts out simple enough. It's like, okay, here's this guy. He has a marking and he fights. And now here's these other people and they have superpowers. Okay, now this is going to be a revenge story with Scorpion. It's like, okay. But then out of nowhere, there's just like someone that doesn't know what Mortal Kombat is would have no idea what's going on the moment the opening scroll comes in. Because out of nowhere, there's a time lapse after Scorpion when he was still Hanzo. After he dies, right? Then there's a time lapse. And during the time lapse, it shows a paragraph of text that just says, there is a world tournament and we need to win the world tournament. Otherwise the world... It's like, okay, whoa. I was like, someone that doesn't... My dad is going to have no idea what the hell this is talking about.
Right.
Because it just... Like, someone that doesn't know what Mortal Kombat is, it's like, whoa. There's just a paragraph here of just words. And then it's like, it's important that you understand what that paragraph meant for you to then make sense of what goes on after it. So it's almost like, I don't know, what was with the paragraph? Did they run out of money? Did they run out of time? What was that? So, yeah, there's that.
Like what? Like
first game wasn't the first game like that?
Well, wasn't this a reboot? I think this is like a brand new thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure this is a Mortal Kombat reboot. It's just its own thing. It's not attached to the older movie. Nothing like that.
Right.
I don't think I can keep track of all those Mortal Kombat movies. There's just so many. Then there's the fan-made ones, and it's ongoing. It never stops.
I just love those older ones. They're just like so campy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really silly.
The first one's all you need.
I mean, this new one, it was fun. It was a fun movie. You know, it was a kettle tipper. But they could have done a little bit of a better job generalizing it to a wider audience by at least explaining what the tournament is. They never explained what the tournament is. So to someone who doesn't know what Mortal Kombat is, the movie is not even going to make any sense unless before watching the movie you already know what Mortal Kombat is. You know? So I feel like if you're going to make a feature film and just call it Mortal Kombat with no subtitle or anything, then... you know, people that want to show it to somebody, it's going to be a little more difficult. At least show what the tournament is.
Well, if they have Christopher Lambert, that'd be fun. I don't know if they'll bring him back, though.
Was the action good, at least?
Oh, yeah, it was great. I loved it. It was fun.
Oh.
Very fun. Very fun.
I plan to watch it, because I just got a HBO Max, so...
If you like anime, you'll definitely like the beginning with Hanzo fighting Sub-Zero. If you like anime, you'll like that. It's cool. It has a very anime prologue. Very anime prologue.
Everything's becoming anime these days, even live action.
It's the future, Smud.
I like reading
anime it. Become anime.
Let anime be anime.
The anime.
Keep it out of everything else.
It's just like my Japanese animes.
Oh, God. Yeah, well. Hopefully I'll die before they start making mobile mecha. Oh, don't want to live in that world anymore. It's like, oh God. Anyway. Oh, we got 2 minutes left. Great. We're almost done.
Oh, this is the flashback to childhood. Oh, this is the speech about what it means to be a hero. Oh, this is the mistake that causes injury to you and or your closest friend. Oh, this is when you realize you need to be more responsible. Oh, these are the 3 or 4 overly dark scenes to convince the doubters that superheroes aren't just kid stuff. Yeah, it's starting to become more and more noticeable, and maybe 1 or 2 of these films could try a little harder and throw something new in.
Wait a second. What's wrong with these scenes? These are pivotal scenes.
He's not gonna explain them. He doesn't even buy.
Is this because he knows the story of Batman and therefore it's boring to him, like all the other stories, because he's seen them before? You could argue that remakes are, yeah, we've seen this before. It's like, yes, but this is a different take on it. We don't need much more than Martha can't.
Unless I see the exact same scene, like performed exactly the same way, I'm not gonna.
Like
complain.
I know the original Judge Dredd. I know the original Judge Dredd because I just watched it because it was expiring on Hulu. I like that. They just did a little bit of the emotional stuff without getting too much into it, and he complained about that movie too. He did a whole review of it.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Nostalgia Critic did the original Judge Dredd.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
So it's like, all right. Well, what do you want? You know? I mean, I don't know if I would have to watch the review again, because, I mean, I know he complained, he thought it was just funny the way the guy goes, oh, you better know. So it's like, he had some fun with that. It was a funny video. I would have to watch the review again to see if he complains about getting into the character's emotions. I don't know. But I mean, I feel like that one balanced it pretty well. It was still a campy movie, but it was great. I enjoyed it.
So, telling a Batman story
about that movie too. So
telling a Batman story, you need to have the death of his parents, kind of a given. So, I don't mind.
He showing a Batman
That's
scene
his
right
entire
now?
character. Like...
Is he still talking about Batman Begins?
Well, he's talking about all these heroes that have their origin and their motivation, why they are the way they are. It's like, yeah. Those are really important scenes in all of these films.
So what is he saying? He wants them to make a movie where they cut... Well, he's saying that they want to take a comic book... He wants them to take a comic book superhero, adapt it to a general audience for cinema, for live action, and not include those key motivations from the comics.
He wants it to
Is that
have
what he wants them to
something
do?
new.
Yes.
He wants it to be special. It wants to be different. It's like, dude...
But he's acting like they're all the same character. They're not.
When we see... and hear the musical theme and the scene of Martha and Thomas Wayne die. That is the only connection we have to the other climax of the film, which is when Batman's about to kill Superman. It's that music and him going, "Oh, Martha." Like, that's the only thing. If it wasn't for that powerful scene in the beginning, this whole that entire scene would be completely confusing and stupid if it wasn't already stupid. It wasn't just completely garbage. It was like, oh, okay, I get what they're doing. It's still stupid. It's asinine stupid. It makes you ponder the existence of God when you watch. Like, who the hell is this guy? What are you doing? How can you possibly think this way and make a scene that connects logically in Batman's brain? It doesn't make any sense. But musically, I remember that song. I remember that sound. That's the scene where Batman reminisces about his parents, and it's so tragic and sad and dramatic and just wonderful imagery, the best imagery I've ever seen of that scene. And if they can top that in another Batman origin story, great, go for it. I can't wait to see the Batman next year, if they can do that or do a different flavor of that. I would love to see that. Because I know what's coming. And it's kind of like you eat steak. And you eat steak every year of your life. I love steak. And boom, 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 boom. And hey, you know what? I love steak. I want to try another one. I want to try ribeye. I want to try AAA. I want to try Canadian Prime. I want to try Kobe. I'm going to try whatever beef there is. Because it's still animal protein from a cow. And I want to try the next one. Because it's what I like. We like Batman. We like these heroes. And we know their stories. They work with us. Why wouldn't we want more? Why wouldn't we want a revitalization of these things we like? Wouldn't you like to see Berserk done better, clearer, now that the author's gone and they could play around with it a bit more? I'd like to see that.
Maybe. I have heard horrible rumors that Netflix is going to handle some kind of series.
Yeah,
but
they failed with the 3D version because that was atrocious. But they tried. I'd like to see some more. I'd like to see what they can do nowadays with 3D. Maybe it's better. Maybe they solve the problems of making it look like ass and being really unbelievable and robotic and horrible shading and lighting and whatever.
Yeah, it's like it could help if a team that experienced with using 3D software would do it.
Yeah, like what was that Netflix show with Ghost in the Shell? I didn't like the art style, but you get past it because the story's there. The characters are there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And still a lot of people didn't like it because of the art style and how it started, but some people did.
Yeah, but the problem with Berserk is that it's very visual. So like, you can like create like those like beautiful landscapes in 3D as well, but you will have to like combine the two at least. It's like it has like so many details. It's just it's gonna take work if you really want to do it. The 90s anime was like doing it right because
it could be
like so many panels.
Think of it this way. Think of a live action Berserk in the style of Legend. That film with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry. Like that sort of feeling. That sort of mysticism.
Yeah. I think I got your idea.
Well, it's fantastical, of course, but I don't know what style of fantasy. I don't know if it's high fantasy or low or whatever. But combined with like violence of the fighting, and obviously you'd have to play around with the sword length and width. Like it's too big. It's too ridiculous. So you have to like make it a little bit more realistic, just a bit. You can't swing a 40-pound piece of metal and expect physics to just treat you well. So it doesn't make too much sense. But you could try it. You could adapt it to possibly work. I don't know. I'd love to see the attempt, though. That's the thing. I want people to.
I would love to, but like it's just
so many hurdles.
I wanna see like a company that like is willing to take the job.
Take the risks. Yeah.
Because it's either like they just like start and they don't finish it halfway. Because like I think like the 90s show was just like an advertisement for the manga itself. While the 3D one was just like, because like for a long time like nobody wanted to take on like doing like anything with Berserk, and then like suddenly like this company like that has like no experience in like doing any kind of action stuff just decides to like get the license. I was like, what? Like, why is this happening? Because like there's like so many other people who could like have a spin on this. But yeah, I would love to see it. I would really would love to see like more, because like I think like there's like so much material that you could work with, so many like storylines that could be covered.
Yeah, the world is so it's like it's more Alice in Wonderland like, not the same style, but the depth of it. There's so many characters and magic.
Definitely came into that when they decided to like have more fairy tale creatures introduced to the world.
Very whimsical. It starts off with the very the demons and all that blood and guts and rape and all that.
It literally starts with the rapes,
yeah,
like the sex scene,
and then it goes into the whimsical, magical fairies and all this other stuff, and there's so much to work with. So it's like, okay, if you keep it in that vibe, that feeling, I think you could work very well. But anyway, I want these stories. I want to see them spend the time and money and effort and make the movie magic that we are seeing on the screen today. These are things we want, and it's a challenge. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to make the wheel spin and maybe make it look a little different. Shine it up a bit. I don't know, whatever vibe you're going for. And we'll keep telling these stories because they're good stories. They teach us things, and they're characters we want to learn about. No matter how many times we see Batman's parents get killed, I want to see it again and again and again. Maybe not Jared Leto's version of the Joker though. That's good. One is enough.
No, you don't like that?
There are some elements I like, but as a whole, no. I think it's too much. Some tattoos, some, behavior twitches. Those could work, but not all of it. There's too much. He need to be pulled back just a touch, and have some, acting coach or something help him out there. Anyway.
But we've seen formulas badly repeated in other film genres too. And just because the emotional weight in a superhero film can be done bad doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. And to many...
Okay, so he's talking about melodrama. Depends on how you want to depict it. What the melodrama is about. Is it about relationships? Is it like a soap opera bullshit? Is it, I have to save the world, but I can't because I can't even save my pet dog or whatever nonsense. It's like it's stupid shit like that you have to be careful of. So you have to understand what the drama is before it gets bigger and more grandiose. So basic writing. He's right. It can work.
Filmmakers, I think for the most part, they're still mixing it up enough to create new problems and new solutions in an ever-changing world. Technology, points of view, emotional understanding. We're still seeing these things evolve in our world, and our movie superheroes are doing well to keep up with it. Truth be told, if they still want to be relevant, they need to keep up with it. If superheroes want to represent who we want to be, they must first understand who we are. And the more our heroes can see that in themselves, the more they can understand who they're fighting for. And the more we'll cheer them on because of it. And so the people who are seeing superheroes as...
Okay, so in order to get that connection to the superhero, you have to know why they're doing what they're doing, which is their origin story. So we would have to go back to his original argument saying, yeah, this is too boring. If it's nothing new, it's like, well, we still need it. We need to know why Batman is the way he is, why Superman is the way he is, why Spider-Man, like all these characters, we have to know the origin. We have to know that little nugget that makes them them. And that's it. I don't think we need to change too much. You could mix it up, like, I don't know, Aunt May dies as opposed to his uncle. That could, if you want to go that route, sure, why not?
That would be mind blowing.
That would make Peter Parker a killer.
Oh God. Whatever, I don't know. If you want to mix it up, go for it. But just understand what you're changing and how, so that you present.
Why?
Why? Well, why should be the same. I mean, you can't have Peter Parker cry because Aunt May's souffle didn't rise or whatever. It's like, that's stupid. It has to be the same, like a death, like he got someone killed. So,
maybe Punisher dies and the wife lives on,
and she becomes the Punisher. Oh God, this chick with all these guns and weapons and a mobile tank.
To make her black.
Oh yeah. Hey, if that works, I don't care. I'll see a Punisher that's a female with all these guns that get launched in the air from her tank.
Only if they make her hot.
A hot wife, black, who has a walkie-talkie.
How are you going to see her with the black clothing?
Oh my God.
Exactly. It's practical.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's practical for night operations.
Just don't even have any white skulls or anything. Just have it all black.
Oh boy. All right. Well, you like your black female superheroes, I guess. Anyway.
Whiners nowadays, I think, are more confusing whining for drama. And drama, obviously...
Hey, you're right.
Is an essential part in making something interesting. Like it.
That is the most generic thing you could say about drama. Holy crap. Wow. It's not... Drama is interesting. Like, what? No. What? Oh, boy.
Have you ever seen a bad drama movie?
Yeah. There's all kinds of bad drama. There's melodramatic movies. There's soap operas, which are bullshit. There's all kind. But people love these things for whatever reasons. They identify with the characters. They say, oh, he cheated on her, but he still loves his wife. But, oh, okay. So he's going through redemption
Especially
arc.
Mexicans.
The South American soap operas are amazing. This is true. Argentinians have amazing soap operas if you ever watch them. But oh boy,
they are interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I had to.
Oh boy, yeah, no, they're whether it's luchadors and wrestling or soap operas, they know their melodrama. So yeah,
and they're hot.
The South American women, they're a class of their own. Let's just say. Anyway,
that is the best. That's very well said.
Yes, but most women across the world are a class of their own, of course. But you just have to know what you think of a woman and then just amp it up like 3 times. There you go. South Americans. All right. What were we talking about? Drama. That's right, drama. Okay. Yes, drama is interesting. Kind of like how a knife in the head is interesting, but I'm sure there's more to it than that.
We need investment in order to care. We need to relate to our heroes in order to get behind them.
Okay.
But yes, they need to actually do superhero-y stuff too. Throw a punch, show off their powers. Don't just fly around the world questioning your identity. Do things. So in the end, it all comes down to balance. You can't cheer for a hero you know nothing about, but you also can't cheer for a hero who doesn't do anything but mope. Both good action.
Is there a specific film where the hero just mopes all day? I can't think of one. Like we talk about Batman brooding or
maybe Hulk, I don't know.
Yeah, but his whole thing is to get angry, so
yeah.
Deadpool too.
Hulk is basically Mope Man. Like when he gets angry, he makes him stronger.
Yeah, he's Mope Man. But Deadpool 2 is kind of strange because there were things that we thought were going to happen in the film. Like he introduced all these characters and they just die within minutes. Yes. And I know it's a joke, but it's like, what? Like, why would you do that? And it's so stupid. It's like, why did you waste all our time so they could focus on the 2 main characters? It's like, okay. So
the only scene that was worth the attention was like the after credits scene. And he goes back in time to stop Wolverine Origins from happening. That was the best. Like he shots
and Green Lantern
in the head for killing that.
Yes. Yeah. You're welcome, Canada.
Yes. I did like the Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That was a nice touch.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, well, lots of things I want at Deadpool 2. It delivered in some of them, not all of them, unfortunately. But yeah, that's fine. But I can't think of any specific one movie that it was just all brooding and I don't want to be a hero. I can't answer the call to adventure because I'm so scared. It's like, no. They get over
Isn't that like the CW shows or something?
Like Gotham? Or like Smallville? Gotham was reasonably okay because it didn't focus on Bruce Wayne. It focused on Commissioner Gordon, or before he was commissioner, and a lot of the minor characters, which I thought was interesting because you see Selena Kyle as a little girl and she grows up. And it's interesting to see them grow up because she's a cute little girl and then she matures. You're like, wow, into a teenager. So,
okay, Smud.
Yeah, it's great. The Penguin's great. I don't know too much about.
Oh, yeah, I love the Penguin in that one.
Yeah, Cobblepot was great. Obviously someone was.
There's also that I guess pre-Joker, the crazy guy Jerome.
Oh boy, that was a weird take on Joker. That was like, whoa, what are they doing? Like that, I wasn't even sure what the point of that was, but it's his brother ends up becoming the real Joker, and he just I don't know. That was kind of weird. Yeah, strange stretch of the American Psychological Association.
Which Joker are you talking about?
The one in Gotham. The one, the brother.
TV show.
I haven't seen Gotham yet.
Oh boy, you're in for a treat. It's interesting. I mean, it's fun. But
did you finish it? I never finished it.
I stopped around, I don't know, season 3. But as you keep going, it gets weirder, and some of it's good. Some of it's pretty interesting, but a lot of it's kind of like, what the hell are they doing now? So when I watched the whole shtick about the Joker and the brother and Jerome, and you're like, okay, this is new. Wasn't thinking about the Joker that way before. Don't think it works out very well.
That reminds me. Doesn't Jim's wife Barbara, doesn't she go crazy too?
Oh my God, that was just a weird.
That was hilarious.
Okay, there are really bad parts of Gotham. She is basically one of them, like as an entity, not as a character, as a thing that happens in the story. That is like, okay, that's too much. And she's a great actress. She's a really good actress. Like, what are you doing, wasting all this talent? So
I thought she got better once she lost her mind. Honestly.
Well, jeez. They pushed it too far. Anyway, Gotham is a mixed bag for sure. Luckily, I stopped watching it, so I'm happy. But yeah, well, we're almost done. Let's keep going.
And good care needed to keep the people cheering for more. So, superheroes of the future, continue standing up for what you believe in, but never shy away from expressing why. Just don't express too much.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I can't wait for another Andrew Garfield movie.
What the?
Okay.
Wow, what the? Okay, so expressing why
he makes when he nuts.
That was weird. Expressing why is part of the plot, so you want as much plot as possible. Obviously, you can't just be plot unless that's the kind of story you want to tell. But we need plots to be very clear, and if they're not clear, then you have to bring them out again. So multiple plot lines, same goals, lots of motivation, multiple motivations, in fact. Great ideas for any story, especially superhero stories. So it's more than just, I want to save the world because I'm a good person. No. Give me reasons why. Why is it redemption? Are you trying to be a better person? Are you already a better person? Want to teach others? What's the reason? I want to know. So the more the merrier when it comes to plots, or motives rather. So in a way, he kind of corrected the problem of whiny little brats. It's like, no. Keep it in there. Just clarify it. Make it better. I think that's what we all want in our stories. We want clarified things that make sense. Not just superhero stories. Wow. Lots of credits. All right, there we go. Good stuff. Hey, wow. Only less than 2 hours. We're doing very well. That was pretty good. I'm going to ask, do we have any stream memes? Because I don't know if Bears was part of it.
We have plenty.
We do.
We have a lot about Moses.
Oh my God. Moses. All right, let me see.
Just as Yokai ordered.
See if I can bring these up. Okay, here we go.
I heard my name. What's going on?
Moses?
Your wish has been granted.
Oh,
okay.
Let me see it. Where is it?
Here's our first meme.
Where is it?
Hold on. Cuddly, lovable, docile. That won't do at all.
Smudboy, Citadel, and then which one? Stream memes?
Yeah.
Yes.
So here we have Moses punching a bear. Polar bear?
Let's see. Where is it?
Polar bear?
Yeah.
All right.
Where's the ice?
There it is. There's Moses.
It's Charlton Heston.
That's fucking badass. I love it.
Smacking out a polar bear.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Rocky, or sorry,
Rambo.
Yeah, that's the one that made me laugh. That's the best one.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I just want to hear.
We can't expect God to do all the work. Look at this. It's beautiful. It's brilliant.
This has been Hollywood for the past 20 years, I think.
No, scroll down. Scroll down. Look at the next two.
Oh, jeez.
That's Fallout, right?
Is it?
Yes, it is. It's yeah.
I can tell
Mr. Mormon guy.
His hands.
That's
Look
Honest
at the one
Hearts.
below it. It's beautiful.
Oh, that's cool.
Joshua.
The beard is what makes it work.
Joshua Graham.
Yeah. Moses.
Oh,
Punisher.
that's a good design too.
Have you forgotten God? Oh, this is great.
Oh boy, that is a. I've never seen that design of Punisher, but I don't read Punisher. I don't know. So.
There's the hot chick Punisher.
Oh yeah.
Have you forgotten God? Oh my God.
Yeah, I hate in the show he never uses that fucking minigun. I wish he used it.
That is a lot of hardware, like a lot of weight you're carrying around. Belt fed.
Still.
You have to walk around with a giant
your
suitcase.
enemies very, very fast.
You just walk around with this massive box of bullets. Well, a chain gun. You're just like, yeah, no problem. You can't launch that off your truck with your weapon van or whatever it's called. That wouldn't work.
Oh, Mateus.
Here is... What the hell is this? Looks like an anti-infantry rifle. What scene is this from? I don't know. Is it Predator? I can't tell.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's too much beard. I can't tell whose muscles those are.
Yeah, too much.
It's a big gun, though.
I have no idea about the next one.
This is what? I have no idea who this is.
Oh,
yeah. We
Marissa
mentioned
Tomei.
that, like, what if the Punisher dies and the wife takes over?
Marissa
She
Tomei?
becomes the Punisher.
I can't tell. I have no idea.
yeah. I think that's her. Oh, she's beautiful.
All right. Well.
I'm showing that to Santa. I want that.
Okay. Here's Mike Testis Smud. I'll probably be better tomorrow. Need memes. Well, sir, I've given you all the memes we got. I think that's everything. Yeah, that's everything. Thank you, Ken, Inquisitor Mateus, and yeah, there's those two guys. Bears was not available. Thank you, guys. Fun times with.
Bear's gotta take a break one of these days, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what'd you think of the video?
It was fine, actually. He only made a few mistakes, but he brought it back, saying they're not whiny. We need to know their motivations. And then he sort of went a bit too far when he was making that joke with Peter Parker.
Is that most of his videos? Like, because I don't watch him a lot anymore, but he always has something, and then he kind of explains it afterwards.
It's kind of like what you hear like nowadays. Is that like, well, I don't really watch him anymore.
I watched his the most recent thing I watched from him was his Supergirl video, making fun of the Supergirl movies, and then he talked about the Supergirl show being amazing, and that was the end of the video.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, he really likes the Supergirl show. He thinks that it's captivating and explores the character.
How?
Any CW show is not very deep, so don't worry.
Dude, it seems so like, I don't know, generic, I guess.
My favorite like CW trailer, because I have not seen any of that crap before, was like when they like referenced like World of Warcraft meme, and then the guy just like slides on the floor and says Leroy Jenkins. I was like, oh, okay. Bye.
That was on CW?
Yes, that was one of the ads for like the big event in the show.
Oh, really?
They had like the crossover for
Crisis.
universes, I guess.
What was it called? Legends?
I don't know.
They got all these actors from other shows to pop on. And
yes, like every universe, and like I think they even got like the Batman voice actor guy.
Yeah. Kevin Conroy was there.
Kevin Conroy, yeah. And then he got killed by Batwoman.
He
got killed by Batwoman?
Yeah.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Then there was Tom Welling.
They just love to kill the legend, don't they?
Batwoman was like the paragon of something. Yeah, it was pretty trash.
I wonder why people don't like her.
Gee, I wonder why. And she's coming back to the one episode of the second season of Batwoman. Fantastic. It's going to be great. It's going to be fan-frickin-tastic.
Isn't that a different Batwoman?
Oh, there is a black one right now, but Kate Kane is coming back for one episode.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe she doesn't have to dress up and do crazy stunts anymore, so she's not going to kill herself. So it's like, I'll take a paycheck. Sure, why not? Great idea.
Yeah, why not?
Anyway, I think that's it. Here's one more from Mike Testa. Thank you, Michael. CW shows make me sad at how bad they are. Like PPG. PPG?
Puff Girls?
I have no idea.
Yeah, right?
I don't know.
Mike, everything you write, I must question.
Mike, please send us another super chat so we know.
Just actually, don't send the super. Just write in this chat. You're spending too much money.
I think like he just can't use the normal chat.
The normal chat is just
every single time. Like he presses the button.
Yeah, it makes a super chat.
I don't know, but is it PUBG maybe? I don't know. It could be a game reference. Couldn't tell you. Anyway, makes me want to go play Honest Hearts again. Oh, jeez.
You skipped on that.
Oh,
one,
Fallout?
Right?
Yeah, Fallout. I know. Such a of all the DLC, I skipped it. But when we played the first time, like, oh my god, this is crazy. So much death. Mike Testa reboot with Powerpuff Girls. Oh,
yeah, I was right.
Okay.
God damn.
yeah. Okay. And I know nothing.
Yeah,
about
the reboot was kind of crap.
Yeah, I know nothing about it. Thankfully. Anyway, I think that's it. Unless you guys have anything else to say about whether or not superheroes are whiny. I don't think so, but I think we're good. Yeah?
Yeah, they are.
We're good.
They're pretty whiny.
Yeah. But they have reason to be whiny.
Exactly. And like, I think
can't relate to it.
him generalizing all of them to be whiny is kind of silly, but yeah. The video wasn't well made.
Yep, I'm good.
It wasn't Renegade Cut.
No.
Yes.
Boy, that's
Thank God.
What a difference from yesterday. Holy crap. Jeez. Need a vacation from that. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for the cast popping in and talking about all your favorite comic book stuff. And Mike Testa, hope you're having a great or better day tomorrow. Take it easy, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Hope you're doing well.
Yeah. I know it's weird to have I had a virtual funeral just a month ago, so these things happen, but, that's how it goes. So thanks everyone. Have yourself a great evening.